Are you ready to expand your life and reality? Join us for the next hour with Jamie Bates as she shares life changing thoughts, techniques, and awarenesses to help you expand your reality.
Hello and welcome. I am Jamie Bates, consciousness facilitator and expander of realities. My mission with my radio show is to create greater awareness of what is possible and to expand you beyond the limitations of this reality. I am grateful that you're joining me today. And today I want to talk about relationship change. Really, more than anything, I want to talk about when you change, your relationships change. Okay. Today, I want to deep dive into this topic. As we ascend here into the 5D reality, it's really important to understand that the energy that you are upholding is also creating the way that your life shows up, but also the way that your relationship shows up. Okay. And this is all your relationships and even stranger interactions, all of it. The energy that you hold on to is the energy that's telling the universe how things should show up for you. And when you change your energy, literally everything changes. This is one of these concepts that is so exciting for me. I know personally, my relationships have changed dynamically, not only my relationships with my family, with my spouse, with my children, with friends, and even with strangers. The way that I can show up now with strangers is way, way, way so different than the way that I used to show up with strangers back before I really had my awakening. So today, I want to share some tips and some tools and some awarenesses so you can really deeply understand that the reason that your relationships are showing up the way that they are is, yes, it's in part of how other people are, but it has a lot to do with your own form and structure as well. And the thing is here, and one of the things that we're really experiencing right now in this reality is we're all ascending, okay? And I know that as empaths, as people who are energetically sensitive, we tend to get really caught in trying to figure out everybody else and trying to really like, well, if they were doing that, I wouldn't be doing this. And kind of we get caught up in that like blame and shame and kind of that like projection of who other people are being. And I get it, I get it in the big picture, but I also know that right now is the time that we start focusing inward. Okay, there's we're on this amazing journey of ascension, and the reality is the only person that can help you ascend is you. You are the only person in charge of your ascension. And what other people do or choose or be or create for their life truly really has nothing to do with you. And oftentimes when I say this to people, they'll say, oh, but it affects me because, all of these reasons why their choices affect me. And I get that. I totally do get that. But I also know that there is a place that you can exist in this reality where you are no longer the effect of what other people be, do, choose, and create. And before you tell me that I'm wrong, I really want to invite you into that space to understand that there is a space, and I know this space because I function in it at this point in my reality, where I understand that everything is choice and possibility. Okay. And it's our defined points of views and projections of what other people are doing and creating and how that affects us that truly creates the way the situation shows up. Now, I'm going to go back to I understand that I have no choice and power over what other people do, be, choose, and create. The only person I have power over is myself, right? But when I am in a space where I am not the effect of what someone else is doing, being, choosing, or creating in their own life, then I no longer am the effect of their choices. Okay. And I know that depending on where you're at and in your journey, I know that that can be a really hard thing to really see. But it's all only because you have a lot of connection points to what other people are doing, being, and choosing and creating, and what that means for you. And when you release those connection points and you understand that all of that stuff is just how we reference energy in our life, it really truly allows you to see that you really do have choice and possibility in your own life, no matter what other people choose. And of course, there's a lot of things that we implement within allowing ourselves to be, different, and that includes boundaries, and that includes, instead of jumping in and rolling in the upset with other people, you say, I'm not going to choose that, do that, be that. This is my universe. I get to decide. I mean, there's a lot of different parts and pieces to this. It's not just change your energy and everything changes. It's about, I mean, yes, it is to some capacity about to change your energy and everything changes, but it's also really about understanding how you process energy and how to instill even strong boundaries for yourself to not be pulled into somebody else's energetic storm, because we are so energetically sensitive, you guys. And as we continue to ascend, the if you are the effective people's energies, it's going to continue to drag you down at this point. Okay, you have to find that balance now. Now is the time to go within and understand that if somebody is affecting me, if somebody is creating upset in my body, in my life, that means that there is something inside of me that needs to shift and change in order for me to be at the neutral zone and give them responsibility for their own actions. And when I give somebody else responsibility for their own actions, they actually have to look at their actions and decide if they want to continue to move forward with those actions or not. And when you function in that space, what you start to understand and what starts to untangle is most people don't want to be reactive in the way that they are either. Okay, just like you don't want to be reactive in situations like you are, just like you don't want to be certain people that you find yourself being around certain people, other people feel the exact same way that you do. Okay. And one of the greatest things that we've been perpetrating in this reality is we've been upholding all of these forms and structures for each other and perpetrating these toxic patterns on each other because neither one of us, whether it's you and somebody else or me and somebody else, because we weren't willing to let go of upholding the limitation instead of realizing that, hey, we just all got stuck in a whole bunch of limitation and it's gross and it feels yucky for all of us. And guess what? At this stage in the game of ascension, we have choice and power, and we really can change our energy. And when we start really making the demand that I don't want to be this person anymore, I don't want to choose this toxic pattern anymore, I don't want to uphold this form and structure that feels like crap inside my body any longer. When you start doing that for yourself, you don't get to do it for other people. When you start doing that for yourself, what happens is this magical dance of change starts to occur everywhere in life. And you find yourself in this magical journey where people are no longer being the people that they used to be in your life. Breathe that in for a moment. So I know that was a really long intro. I started babbling and couldn't stop. So let's take a moment here and let's expand out and really get into more space of us so we can really truly make those changes today. So go ahead and put your barriers down. Yeah, your barriers down, your barriers down, your barriers down. It's time to change, you guys. We no longer have to uphold these toxic cycles anymore. We no longer have to be the effect of these toxic cycles. We no longer have to be the perpetrator of upholding these toxic cycles. We get to decide. Just feel that for a moment and just breathe that in. What if you could really have peace and ease in your life? And what if you really could release and let go and unwind and untangle the toxicity that you keep getting tangled in your life? And what if that's okay? And what if it's easy? And what if it's time? Yeah, breathe that in. Let's go ahead and expand. So go ahead and make yourself as big as the room that you're in, all the way out and all the way down and all the way up. Yeah, nice deep breath. If you've never expanded before, basically we are expanding out your energy, space, and consciousness, your being, basically your soul, whatever you want to call it, whatever you've identified with it in the past. We're basically expanding out the essence of who you are, right? When your body dies, you are still energy, space, and consciousness. Your, I like to call it your being. Your being is uh not inside your body like you potentially have been told in the past, right? I think most of us function in this idea that our being is inside of our body, but that's completely the opposite. Your being is actually this big, huge energy, space, and consciousness, and your body is inside your being. And your being can expand to so much bigness, to the infinite space of who you be. And in your being is all your programming, it's all your belief systems, viewpoints, and this is how you communicate with the universe. This is how you tell the universe what you want to show up in your life. And when you are able to uh, basically stay in the bigness of you, you can really make some big changes in your universe. So let's expand. So we're expanded out as big as a building that you're in. Yeah, all the way out and all the way down and all the way up. And go ahead and make yourself as big as the city that you're in. All the way out, all the way down, all the way up. Breathe that in. And as big as the state or province that you're in, all the way up and all the way down and all the way up. And as big as the country that you're in. Yeah, all the way out and all the way down and all the way up. Nice deep breath. And as big as the universe. Actually, the planet that we're on. Sorry. Let's go as big as the planet that we're on. Bigger, faster, bigger, faster, bigger, faster. Yeah, becoming one with everyone and everything. There you go. And the universe. And the multiverse, multiple universes. Times that by million, times that by million, times that by million, times that by million, all the way out to the space of who you be as the infinite being that you be. Awesome. And I'm just going to kind of vortex this for a moment and just give you space, 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 space. Nice deep breath. So, yeah, today we're getting into that bigness of who we be and really looking at this concept of when you change, your relationships change. So, when I look at this concept, I again want to make sure that we understand that we're all ascending right now. Okay, so who someone was 10 years ago to you, or 15 years ago to you, or even last year to you, or even last month to you, has the capacity to change and has the capacity to change overnight. Okay, because we're all ascending right now. We're all discovering that a majority of the patterns that we have been upholding in this universe, in this lifetime, in this reality, right this very moment, are toxic. Much of the places and spaces that we have been operating from, and many of the cycles we have been perpetrating, are based off of the old paradigms in this reality that are now crumbling. Breathe that in for a moment. So, one of the most important things I think to really understand is who someone has been for you in the past does not mean that that is someone that they have to continue to uphold moving forward. Now, that doesn't mean that they will 100% change, because the reality is you are only in control of you. And when you get that, when you really finally get that, and this is probably one of the hardest lessons. I know I say this about a lot of lessons, but because they're all equally, they all really have, we have so much polarity, and we have been living and programmed into this reality to constantly be checking in with others to see what they're doing and being and choosing and creating and we have also, as empaths and as people who are energetically sensitive, one of the things that I'm very aware of for myself and very aware of for pretty much everybody I work with is we have been programmed to uphold a certain level of limitation. And the thing about us energetically sensitive people is we're highly programmable. Okay. And I know sometimes people will fight with me about this and say, I'm not programmable. I live within the life I want to live. And I am here to tell you that you might not see that you're highly programmable, but you have been programmed by this reality. You have also, because we are so energetically sensitive, um, and because of the way that we have been programmed, we're constantly, without even having any awareness about it, we are constantly checking in with others. Constant. This is a process that literally takes people a really long time, months, if not years, to get to the space where, and I know as we're ascending, this is going to change and the timelines are going to change because it's going to be a lot easier to step out of these paradigms. But we have been in a space where we have been, as an empath, I almost feel like we came here on a certain mission to make sure people are obeying the rules. And I hope that you can maybe feel that about you. You've been you're a stickler for rules. You're really good at upholding rules and making sure others are with acting within the right and the wrong and the good and the bad that you have stored as real and true within you. Okay, feel that for a moment. We have a lot of points of views and a lot of projections and expectations of how people should act, what they should choose for themselves, what they should choose in relationship, what they should choose um, as a whole. And then when they don't meet our expectations of what we feel like they should be, do, choose, or create for their life, then we feel unheard, unloved, on blah, blah, blah. Okay. Because if we get into a relationship with someone, let's just say I'm just going to take relationship with a spouse or a significant other as an example. Okay. Many of us have not learned to check in to see what works for us and really truly what we desire and really truly who we even are. Most of us enter into relationships and have really very little awareness of who we truly be. We function in this I don't know paradigm of I'm not sure. I don't know if this person works for me or not. I hope this relationship will work. You know, when you find yourself using words like I hope or I'm not sure or I don't know, that is key indicator that you do not have awareness of who you truly be within yourself. Okay. And then what happens is, and this is very common, and as we're ascending and as we're learning and as we're shifting and as we're, we won't function like this way in the future anymore because we're learning these lessons now. But what most of us have done in this reality, especially if you've been married for, 20 years or 15 years, or if you've been married for a long time, what happened was you met someone and you decided this is the person I'm going to marry. You didn't check in to see if who you were and who they were was a frequency match because we didn't know how to do that. Even before prior to 2012, we had no reference for frequency and vibration to some capacity. I mean, we had some knowing of it, but not in the sense that we have available to us in the capacity at this point in our reality. Okay. So we chose someone and said, oh, this is the person I'm going to love and spend the rest of my life with. And then you get married or you're in a relationship or however that works, right? And you're functioning in this space of this is what I desire and this person is going to fulfill those needs for me. But you don't really have the words or the capacity to check in with that person to see if that person is actually really truly able to love you and uphold what you desire because we didn't have the energetic means to be able to do that or the tools. No one taught us how to check in with others energetically. Nobody taught us how to really even be firm about what we desired. So how are we ever going to be able to uphold a space where we're giving people allowance to be who they are. So then what happens is we start projecting at others that they're bad and wrong because they're not doing the things that we desire. Like maybe they don't, maybe your love language is gifts of love, right? And they're not showering you with gifts or with acts of service or with, the love that you desire. And instead of acknowledging that they're not able and capable in the space that they're at to give me what I desire, what we do is we internalize there must be something wrong with me because they're not loving me the way that I desire to be loved. Or there must be something wrong with me because I've told them that this is what I require and they're still not doing it. Or I must be unlovable because, and we come up with all of these weird and random points of views about who we are based on the way that they're showing up for us. And then we get mad, right? Because now we've told them that this is what we require and they're not doing it. And it must mean because they're not paying attention or they're not listening or they're not blah, blah, blah. Instead of going, no, maybe they're just not capable of giving you that. Breathe that in for a moment. Maybe they're just not capable. Maybe you never actually checked in to see if they were capable of creating the love that you desire. And instead of checking in to see if they're capable of giving you the love that you desire, you just project this constant energy of how bad and wrong they are because they're not upholding what you desire. And then you're equally projecting how angry and frustrated and mad and upset it's making you because there must be something wrong with you. And it just creates this amazing tangle of all of this untrue information. And the thing is when we function in points of views that aren't true, it makes us feel heavy. So then all of a sudden, you're in relationship with someone, you're projecting all of this upset because they're not showing up how you need them to show up. You're holding on to all of this upset inside of you because you're angry, and you're upset and you're feeling hurt and you're feeling unloved and you're feeling unseen and unheard and all of these things inside of you, right? And then you're essentially telling the universe, I want to be unheard, I want to be unloved, I want to be. And I get it, like I understand that we don't think like that when we're having those points of views about ourselves. We don't realize that when you project out, I feel unloved, essentially what you're telling the universe with that projection of energy is, I want to feel unloved. So the universe looks at your universe and says, oh, they want to feel unloved. So then it gives you more people that show up around your reality that are willing to make you feel unloved. And then all of a sudden, you're surrounded by 8,000 people who come into your life and prove to you that you're unlovable because that's what you're believing to be true about yourself. I remember when, I think it was like 2000 and maybe 10, I remember somebody said to me, your point of view creates your reality does not create your point of view. I'm going to say that one more time. Your point of view creates your reality does not create your point of view. And I remember how very deafening that statement felt to me because I wanted to validate, no, 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 no. This is how this happens. And this is what this person does to me. And this is what this person does to me. And this is what this person does to me. And absolutely positively, there was people all around me that were willing to take advantage of me and make me feel unloved and make me feel bad about who I was and make me all of these things because that's what I believed to be true about myself based on the energy I was holding on to from being a child. Breathe that in for a moment. And honestly, when and I'm not even blaming my parents or any of it because I understand in the space I'm in now that that was very required for me to go through that period of my life, or even up until, you know, 10 years ago, all of those patterns I was reperpetrating on my life were there because it was all part of my soul's growth. So once I decided that I had to find a place within myself where I had to change the energy that I was holding on to and the viewpoints I had about how people treated me and how, I felt about being unlovable, and how I felt about being untrustworthy, and how I felt about all of these things. And as I untangled that, yes, I completely can see where I was in charge of the energy I was projecting out and telling people how to show up in my universe. Breathe that in for a moment. And when I changed that frequency and vibration inside myself, and I started saying things like, that doesn't work for me when you come into my home or you come into my life and you start telling me how very bad and wrong I am. I am healing, I am shifting, and I am changing my life. And I require to not be in those energies anymore. So I need you to understand that I cannot be around that frequency and vibration. I started giving people the option and the choice. Look, I'm changing and I'm shifting. If you want to uphold that space about me, that's fine. You can uphold that space, but you're not going to come around me upholding that space about me. I acknowledge that I had a part in creating a lot of toxic relationships in my life. I had to acknowledge that. I had to acknowledge that just as other people came into my life and did terrible, awful things to me, it was because I was upholding a space for people to come into my life to do terrible, awful things to me. And not because I was a terrible, awful person, but because that had been my pattern my whole life. I started out as an infant with people doing terrible, awful things to me. Okay. It wasn't because as an infant, I look at this now and I realize that many of us are holding on to lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of programming. Okay. We have been abused on levels that are mind blowing in so many different lifetimes. We have made promises and commitments and upheld energies and unconsciousness for lifetimes. Understanding that the big picture of what we're doing here is we're ascending beyond that now. We have completed the cycle. We have been in these lower level fractals for lifetimes, you guys. The faster you stop trying to hold people accountable for who they have been to you, and the faster that you realize that you've been a part in that, you've upheld a part and the part that they've played in your life. And the faster you come to that awareness and you surrender to that, and you start looking at those toxic patterns that you're upholding, the toxic mind thoughts that you're projecting, the things that you're silently telling the universe with your head. Breathe that in for a moment. That's all contributing to how people are showing up in your life. One of the most, I think, probably the magical things that starts to happen when, like, I start coaching with somebody and I'm talking to them on a regular basis and they tell me, you know, um, I'm so surprised at how much easier it is for me to be around strangers. And I explained to them that it's because you have not been able to be around strangers, other, crowds, and being in a room full of people where you have to have small talk is painful for you because of the way that you relate to people and what people have done to you on the inside. And when you change that, you no longer have to be that constant checker inner of energetic systems. You no longer have to uphold this space where you have to be awkward and weird around strangers. Believe me, I've been awkward and weird my whole entire life. Okay, there has not been a time and space where I have not been the awkward weirdo. Okay, and now I don't have to be the awkward weirdo anymore because I don't uphold that energy anymore. Now I can go to events and I can go to crowds. Obviously not right now because we're in the middle of COVID. But even, we've pre-COVID, I could go to things where in the past I would go, oh my gosh, there's no way I could go to that, 100-person party. That's like a nightmare to me, right? I'm going to be like, the whole time I'm going to be like energetically frazzled, and then I'm going to come home and I'm going to sleep for 4 days, right? Because it's going to knock me the crap out. And then it's going to take me weeks to get out of that energy. That used to be my life as well. Now I don't have that issue anymore. I can go and I can be in events. I remember I went to an event, I guess it's a couple of summers ago now, and I literally, like, I was so happy that whole event. I had never ever gone to an event and been able to uphold that space of joy, and I helped, and I did all of these things that in the past would have just literally knocked me hardcore out. And I did it. And when we left that party, I thought, gosh, that was really fun. I'm looking forward to doing that more often. And it was like this whole complete and total life shift to understand that I don't have to be that energy I used to get caught in any longer. And neither do you. Breathe that in for a moment. Change is here, and it's here now. And it's inviting you into the possibility that you don't have to be the energies that you've been upholding in the past. You don't have to uphold the yucky spaces of relationship that you've been upholding in the past. You don't have to be the person you've been existing in any longer. Breathe that in. It's time for change. The ascension is here. You can easily let go of these patterns. If you need help, come join us in the Being the Conscious Empath program. Okay, deep dive, you guys. It's 10 weeks. If you joined that program right now, today is December 9th, 2020. We are fastly approaching the 9-day period for this month, really fastly approaching. Okay, we are on the cusp of 2021 being the greatest awakening ever. You need to learn solid form and structure to create the most ease for you. Okay, it's super simple. I have a 10-week program. It guides you step by step. Every single week you get an email. It explicitly tells you what you want to work on that week. It takes you to audios and some videos and literally holds your hand through the whole process. If you've been listening to my show and you're an avid listener, you know that I do vortexing. I'm a consciousness facilitator. This is what I do. I facilitate consciousness. Okay. You take that program, and by the end of that 10 weeks, you're going to have a whole new way to function. Your relationships are going to be different. The way that you relate to the world is going to be different. You're going to be functioning in a space where you know what's true for you just by the way that it feels in your body. And when you get to that space where you are functioning in your truth, everything changes. You can find the Being the Conscious Empath program on my website, Jamie, Jamie-Bates, Bates.com. Being the Conscious Empath is your guide to becoming conscious and aware. It's going to take you through a whole awakening process, and it's going to allow you to be the space of you, which I guarantee you have never been before, because when you get to the space of you and you realize how very easy it actually is to function as you, it's mind blowing. Breathe that in for a moment. It's time. It's time to be you. It's time to be you and dance the dance of you without relating to others and without tangling it in with relationships, because when you change, your relationships change, your energy changes, your universe changes, the way you relate to the world changes, everything changes. It's time to be different. It's time to move on. Breathe that in for a moment. I'm just going to vortex this energy through. You guys, we are in for so much shift and change as we move into this 9-day cycle. So I hope you're ready. I hope you're prepared. If you haven't joined us in the group yet, join us in the Conscious Empath, the free group on Facebook. Also, I have the like page. You can always reach out to me. I have all kinds of amazing things on the horizon, things coming down the line. I have my Healy now, which is amazing. If you've never if you've never experienced a Healy session, I'm also offering some Healy stuff on my website as well. It's time. Frequency and vibration is here, and it's time to ascend. It's time to transform. It's time to live your best life with ease. Thank you so much for joining me for my radio show today, and I look forward to connecting to you in the future. Have a great day.
As the energies in this reality begin to intensify, let's begin to process through energy and awareness within your body like we never have before. There is a light at the end of the tunnel for past trauma and abuse we all have endured. Heal is a new program by Jamie Bates. In this program, she will guide you how to internally change the frequency and vibration with her energy processes. This program will deep dive into easy-to-learn processes and personal stories to release you from any loops or patterns that have been keeping you from awarenesses, preventing you from healing your soul. In this program, you will connect with your inner vortex and get into your natural state of beingness. Once you understand this connection, you will be able to easily identify when you are not being you. Jamie will take you through life scenarios as to why you are still getting caught in old behaviors and actions, and how to call out these actions with energy manipulations to change the way you vibrate. Once you change this vibration, it easily allows for you to receive the big picture and change the frequency for good. Now is the time we all can heal. Secure your spot in this journey to heal today. You have been listening to Expand Your Reality with your host, Jamie Bates. Thank you for listening.